I was just tired of having these random symptoms that on paper or based on my labs, I look really, really healthy. But if I look really healthy, why don't I feel healthy?
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
Hello, hello, you guys. You are listening to a brand new episode of Leaders of the West, and I am so excited to have you here as always. I will tell you, today's show is going to be a little bit different. Now, I know we are all ready for the month of June and July, as I've shared with you guys before. We're only doing solo episodes. A lot of those have been a little bit more inspirational in nature, or I also have some planned with specific resume tips, other elements that are really important to job seekers, same with employers. So they're a little bit more professional and work related, considering the business that Of the West is in. But today we're taking a little bit of a departure for that. I'm probably going to end up titling this a girl talk episode. Men, if you're listening, don't worry. This is not off limits to you. But today I want to talk a little bit more about my personal journey in just being more mindful and aware of the types of products that we use and my overall goal to lessen our toxic burden. So I just got back from Costco, which is ironically how this whole thing started. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I joke about how I feel like I spend my entire life at Costco. And it does feel like that. I swear I am there on a weekly basis. It's been 2 weeks since I went to Costco prior to this morning. And the $437 bill that was my shopping cart definitely reminded me of the pain of said trip. I will tell you though, typically when I go to Costco, I usually buy things for other people. So like I'll ask my mom, hey, I'm headed to town. Do you happen to need anything from Costco while I'm there? And she'll give me a couple of things on her list. Or I do the same for Gustavo's wife. So if I go up to the register and I end up with a $500 shopping cart, I trick myself into saying like, oh, well, it's fine because it's not all mine in the cart. Unfortunately, though, everything in my cart today with that stupid $400 shopping bill was mine. And so I have nobody else to blame it on but myself. I also don't really understand how I have to go to Costco as often as I do because Justin and I are two people and we only have 2 children and half the time they don't even eat their dinner. So I don't know how we go through the amount of food that we do. It's not like I'm hosting parties all of the time or that I run the pool in town and I'm trying to buy products for the snack shack. I did go to Costco a lot when I was in college, but that was when I worked at a coffee shop and we would have to go buy flats of milk and heavy whipping cream and Costco muffins. And so that made a lot more sense, but I feel like I'm there all the time. All of that to say though, a couple of weeks ago, I was in fact at Costco. I was showing off all that a Chevy Tahoe can haul in stories, which again, a very common theme. If you follow me on Instagram or have been around for any moment of time, you know that I drive a Chevy Tahoe and I prove to the IRS often as to why it is a farm vehicle. Like I will load it with stuff for a branding. I have taken it to check water. That poor thing, I do treat it very well. I get its oil change every time that I hit my 5,000 miles, but it definitely gets used. There is no denying that. And so when I was in Twin Falls a couple of weeks ago, Justin needed salt and I needed a Costco trip. So I had salt loaded on the bottom layer of the back hatch. And then I had my Costco groceries on top. And a couple of the things that were showing were Tide and OxyClean. And I made a little note that you guys know that these aren't mine. I'm crunchier than that. They were in fact for my mother. So proof that I do on occasion when I go to Costco, not all of the groceries are mine. But while I said that as a joke, in case anybody was like, hey, wait a minute, you've told us that you're crunchy. Why are you using that stuff? My DMs continued to roll in about, oh, if you don't use Tide, what type of laundry detergent do you use? Or, oh, I've been wanting to switch from what I use. What type of clean products are you using? And this is something that, again, I always want to continue to provide you guys value. And I am newer in this journey. It's probably one that I've been on for the last couple of years of just being very mindful and intentional about the types of products that are in our home, that are in our lives. And I remember when I first started this, and even to this day, it's overwhelming. You look at all of the products in your home, especially if you're using something like EWG's Healthy Living app, and you search your products, and then you find that, holy cow, this is basically like a toxic volcano waiting to explode. Although I don't actually think that that is the case. There's no such thing as a toxic volcano waiting to explode. But for lack of a better example, I'm sure you catch my drift here. And it does feel very overwhelming. And so I wanted to share some of the products that we have used. I am going to try to keep this to about 15 to 20 minutes. So I have a feeling that between kind of this introduction, I'm then only going to be able to get through, I'm thinking like face and body type products. So a little bit more feminine in nature. But then I do plan on doing another follow-up episode to this with those products that we use in our home. So cleaning supplies, kids products specifically. So just know that if we don't get to everything today, which I don't expect that we will, there will be a follow-up episode to this. As mentioned, though, this is a journey that I have been on for the last couple years, as I have always been somebody that's very intentional and very in tune with my health. I credit part of that to being type 1 diabetic for as long as I have been. I have always been very aware of the types of things and food and products that are going into my body. And I am somebody who every 6 months I get my labs pulled in order to go to my endocrinologist. And I was just tired of having these random symptoms that on paper or based on my labs, I look really, really healthy. But if I look really healthy, why don't I feel healthy? And so, as I've shared with you guys before in past episodes, we've had Jenna Oxner come on a couple of times, once to really talk about her journey into holistic health and homeopathy and how she has lessened that toxic burden for her family. And then we also had her back on earlier this year. I'll make sure that we link both of these episodes in the show notes for you guys because I don't know the episode numbers off the top of my head. And in that second episode, we talked a little bit more, I would say more of like a true conversation, equal parts, Jenna and myself talking about the different swaps that we've made. But let me give you my philosophy on this first, because I do think that that is really important. There is no possible way to remove toxins from your life 100%. So the idea of things being non-toxic, that's just not the case, right? So for me and my family, the goal is to lessen that load, to remove them as much as possible so that we feel really good about the times and the situations where we are coming into contact with them and aren't overloading our bodies because, again, we've removed them as much as possible. And I think for many of us, we also believe that, well, I'm not around toxins all of the time, but unfortunately, there are so many ingredients that make up the types of products that, again, we consume, that we are around, that are in the air, that we clean our homes with, that you can have the greatest of intentions. But I think for a lot of us who are maybe a little bit more sensitive, which we'll get into this in a second as to why that can be, who are a little bit more sensitive to those products though, that is then what causes these random health issues or symptoms that if you were to look on paper or take those labs, you're going to look healthy even though you don't necessarily feel healthy. So when I first started this, again, this was a couple of years ago, and I have slowly continued to go down the rabbit hole, we'll call it. And I just remember feeling overwhelmed. Like, where do I start? So if you are somebody who is there or you're in the beginning phases of this journey, here's how I started. So what I ended up replacing are the products that I was almost out of. And I think that the reason that I started that way is if I needed to buy a new product, I then was going to have to replace it. So why would I replace it with the thing that has more toxins when I can take the time to research some other options and then replace it with that? I would highly discourage you guys from going to your pantry and throwing everything out and then going to the grocery store and focusing only on, well, I'm going to buy no seed oils or organic or whatever the thing is. You're quickly going to get overwhelmed. I do not do that. I mean, I guess if you want, you can, but that's not what I would recommend. I would recommend slowly but surely beginning to replace the current items that you have with items that you've researched that show, again, that they are low toxic. Yes, there are going to be some that are non-toxic, and replacing those items that you already have with those options that are going to be less toxic. In order to do this, there are a couple of easy tips. This is where I started as well. So EWG has an app called Healthy Living. I will tell you that app is my favorite of all of those out there. There is also another one called Yucca. The EWG app does freeze often, which is frustrating. But again, compared to others, I prefer it the most. I also, though, know a lot of people who use Yucca. You can use whatever you want. And it is really helpful because it highlights those ingredients that are a little bit more harmful to us, whether that is through causing skin allergies or skin issues, any kind of eye issue or inhalation. There are also products that have higher links to cancer. And so those types of elements based on the ingredients in the products are all listed. And when it comes to products, again, my goal is to lessen the load. So if I put a product into the Healthy Living app and it's a product that I like, I'm not having any problems using it. In theory, I would happily rebuy it and it comes back a 10, which is terrible because this is a scale of 1 is good and 10 is bad. I'm definitely going to switch it out. But if the product comes back as a 4, and again, if 1 is good, 10 is bad, it's going to be on the good side of that spectrum. I'll probably keep it in my rotation until I find a reason to switch. And that is one of the best tips or tricks that I can give you guys because it keeps that from being overwhelming. I also think that there is a balance between something that works and the toxicity of it. So if there is a product that you are using, and let's say you, like me, are a couple of years into this journey and you are using a laundry detergent because it's non-toxic, but the laundry detergent doesn't work, there's no point of using it. And we're going to talk about this when we get to stain fighters, which might not be today. It may be in the next episode, but I still do use a product that is a stain fighter to get Jet Jarvis's grass stains out of his pants. And it would be considered to be toxic because I have not yet found one that is non-toxic that works as well or works at all. So I will also say I am somebody who is constantly trying new products. And my theory on that is, how are you going to know if you like something or if you don't like it if you don't have other things to compare it to? So I might recommend a product today to you guys because I've used it and I like it. I'm never going to recommend a product that I don't like. But a year from now, I might not be using that. I might be using something else that I found because I think it's better. And that's not to say that the product that I'm recommending to you guys today is bad. It's just, it is my favorite as of today that I am using in that specific category. But 6 months from now, I may have found something else that I would recommend to you more. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to recommend this one also as another alternative. Now, before we get to specific products, though, I want to talk about the other side of limiting toxic burden. And again, you guys, I am not a medical professional. This is just what has worked for me. Most of these products are things that we're going to use on the outside that absorb into our bodies. And remember, skin is an organ. So what happens when those products get inside? This is where proper movement and release of toxins is also something that's really important if you are somebody who is really interested in beginning a journey like this. And that is through your lymphatic system. So there are a lot of things that you can do to support your body in removing the buildup that's inside of you. And not all lymphatic systems work the same. Some, like mine, are a little more sluggish. So I have to constantly be working to help move and release those toxins that I am exposed to. So I'm going to give you a list of the things that you can do. You do not have to do all of them. I don't do all of them in a single day. Half the time, I don't do all of them in a week. But I'm consistent about doing something for the benefit of my lymphatic system every single day. And that consistency is what is important. So in the morning, you could do lymphatic massage. I am the worst at this, but I try so very hard. You can find a ton of great videos on this over on YouTube or on Instagram. But basically what it does is it wakes that system up and it gets things moving. This is especially important if you're somebody who's active in the morning, like if you are going to go do a morning workout, because sweating is another incredible way to remove toxins. It's actually the best way to remove toxins from your body. That's why so many people recommend saunas. But you want that lymphatic system to be working before your workout so you get the most out of your body. Literally. Pun intended. Something else that I really like are rebounders. Also, another similar thing to that is a vibration plate. I prefer the rebounder trampoline because it's also a great way to have like a lower body and a core workout. And then I feel good about being able to kind of check 2 things off the list. I usually, when I do that, I'll do it for 5 minutes. Occasionally I'll do 10 minutes and I just kind of jump up and down. Oftentimes I do it first thing in the morning. I take that rebounder outside, and if I'm up early enough, I'll do it as the sun rises. And so that's kind of a fun little like way to wake up, if you will. But that's also a really great way to kind of get your system moving. If you have access to a sauna, that is great because again, you're getting that sweat on, which is removing all of the junk. But if you are somebody like me, you do not have a sauna. Every week, I do try to take at least 1 hot bath in Epsom salts and baking soda. The Epsom salts that I use, which I will link, there's going to be a blog post at the end of this that's going to have links to all of these specific products, but it has magnesium in them. I also do that anytime somebody in our house is going to get sick because this is a great way to get that junk out of the system and really support your system as a whole. There are also different tinctures that you can add to water or droppers that you can place under your tongue that help with lymphatic drainage. I have a couple of them from Des Bio that I'm using now as part of a homeopathic journey that I am on with a specific doctor. But there's also brands like Mary Ruth's that have those as well. Next thing, massages are a great way to get those things moving a little bit deeper. After you get a massage though, you have to make sure that you're hydrating because you've just stirred up all that crap. So how are you going to get it all out? You're going to drink a lot of water and you're going to make frequent trips to the little girl's room. That's how you're going to get that out. So now that our body is a well-oiled machine that's getting rid of the junk that we already have going on inside of us, which we all have toxins inside of us in this very moment in time, let's talk about some of the products that I've used so far and have really, really liked. So I'm going to start with the top, which is the hair. For shampoo and conditioner, I use Loma. I've used it for years, even prior to this journey, and I really like it. As a blonde with well water, I do need a purple shampoo. And I will tell you guys, I say purple shampoo for all of my blonde girls out there. I actually think that purple shampoos themselves can be very drying. So I always opt for a very dark violet purple conditioner or purple mask. I think that they do just as good of a job as getting rid of that brassiness, and they are typically not as drying. So I know that that is technically a purple conditioner, but if you do hear me refer to purple shampoo, that I kind of use them all interchangeably. I will tell you, this is one where I haven't found a purple shampoo clean version that I've liked. Now, Loma does have a conditioner and I use it, but sometimes I do feel like I need a purple, like a violet shampoo. If you know what I mean, you know. So I do use the R&Co purple shampoo, which is not clean. I, again, still do use Loma's purple conditioner. I have not tried that purple shampoo, but the next time that I reorder Loma, I'm going to. So that's what I use for shampoo and conditioner for my blonde girlies. I do like R&Co. It is not clean. I also really like the Loma conditioner, and I will be trying the Loma purple shampoo. Loma does also have a leave-in conditioner and an oil that I really like as well. So overall, very, very happy with that full product line. They also have some other products as well, like lotions, laundry soap. They have some body wash. I've bought those for our kids as well. That being said, I'm not a body wash person, and that might sound gross, but I've never been a fan of them even prior to this Low-Tox journey, just because I feel like they're very drying, and I am already somebody who is naturally so dry. I do exfoliate before a shower every now and then with a dry brush, which is going to brush off that dead skin. And that's also a really great way to get your lymphatic system kind of moving things around, because again, what did I say about your skin? It is an organ. And so if you are somebody who you do take a shower every single morning, a really great way to naturally get that lymphatic system moving and kind of kickstarted for the morning is to do some dry brushing. As far as dry brushes, I do know that Skinny Confidential has a really great one. I'll make sure that we link that. I have an old one that I bought from like Bed Bath & Beyond, which I think that they're out of business now. So that tells you how old that is. I probably do need a new one at some point. When it comes to shower products though, Inner Sense is a brand that a lot of people love, and it is low toxic. I have not used it, but that is another great brand if you are somebody who maybe you've already used Loma and you haven't loved it. I do still have a couple of products that I use that I have not necessarily found better alternatives for, which I talked about that earlier. if I'm never going to buy or use a product that doesn't work just because it's better for me, at that point, why am I even using the product? So there is a blow dry spray that I use and a heat protectant. Both of those are R & Co. Unfortunately, thus far in my journey, I've not yet found anything better, but I'm always trying new things because again, I would love to replace them if possible. Okay, now let's do body. Everybody loves tallow. And I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but that is not me. I do love Farm Wife tallow though. It is the only tallow that I like. I know other people love it and clearly it works. For me personally, and I have very sensitive skin, very, very dry skin. Most tallow has essential oils, and for certain people, those can be really harsh on the skin. I am one of those. That being said, you guys, I think, is it Bloom tallow, D&D beef? They have some in like push sticks. It almost looks like a glue stick. And I have a little neighbor girl. Oh gosh, I just adore her. And she has very severe eczema, especially on her hands. And knowing how nourishing and hydrating tallow can be, I gave her some of those to try. And the mom texted me a couple of weeks after this, maybe it was like a month after, and had wanted to know the website so that she could order more because it was the first time that something other than a steroid cream had kept her daughter's hands from being so cracked and dry. And because they were in that like glue stick type method, we'll call it, she was able to take them to school and she could just keep them in her desk. So I do recommend that as well. Again, though, just because I personally don't love tallow products does not mean they don't work. I know that they work for a variety of people. I am just the anomaly. So the Thistle and Bloom, I think that's what it's called, and then Farm Wife tallow, those are the two that I do recommend the most. When it comes to just overall body lotion, I love Cetaphil's moisturizing lotion. It is my go-to and it has been for years, literally since probably I was 18. It's also a 2 on the Healthy Living app. So again, I keep that. As far as self-tanner goes, I currently use Luxe Unfiltered. They have a lotion that you put on. It's kind of like a gradual tanning lotion. It reminds me of something like a Jergens, although it's far darker than that. You don't have to use it for 2 weeks like you did way back in the day with Jergens. And then they have face drops. Those are clean, so I love those. I have also used Isle of Paradise in the past. I do like their tanning drops. I prefer that over the mousse, although I have used the mousse as well. I've had a hard time finding both of those though, and I don't know if that's because maybe they have changed their formula, but Isle of Paradise is another great brand if you're somebody who maybe you've already used the Luxe Unfiltered and you haven't necessarily fallen in love with it. You can get both of those at Sephora. Again, I'm going to link all of these so it's really easy for you guys to find. Now, nail polish. This is one that nail polish does have a ton of toxins in it. There's formaldehyde, there's a bunch of stuff. And actually, after I have any child, Jet or Jackson, I end up with like a slew of health issues afterwards. I am who I am, right? But I ended up about 6 months after having Jackson getting contact dermatitis on my eyelid. And at the time, I thought it was from fake lashes and the fake nails that I wore. And that's also what my dermatologists believe as well. So I stopped wearing those. I still don't wear them. I will occasionally wear a fake lash, but I have now ruled out that adhesive is the problem. And again, you guys, I think in my mind and in this journey of being low-tox, if I want to wear fake lashes for 6 days out of the year, that's better than if I'm wearing them every single day. So I feel good about making that choice because I'm lessening the overall burden that my body has. So anyways, back to going through this process with my dermatologist. I had stopped wearing fake lashes. I stopped wearing fake nails. The problem went away. And then randomly 3 months later, I get this contact dermatitis on my eyelid again. I ended up going through allergy testing, didn't really have any problems. Then again, randomly, it shows back up in 3 months. And one of the changes that I had made was the night before I painted my nails. So since then, I have been using a non-toxic nail polish and I have, crossing my fingers, have never had that contact dermatitis again. So I do believe that the problem for me was nail polish. At least that's what I've isolated it to thus far. That being said, I use Zoya, Zoya. You can find them at Ulta. I actually prefer to shop online on Zoya's website because they have a wild amount of colors. And they are also one that has a few different options for the amount of toxins that they have in them, if you will. So I have used Zoya's nail polish for the last almost 2 years now. And I also feel really good about it when Jackson wants her nails painted because I don't have to worry about what I'm exposing her to, which is always something that I feel like is important in this journey. And why I'm doing this for myself is because I want to provide the best possible life and health for my children as well. Deodorant. Okay, I use Primally Pure. Justin uses Everyman Jack. Everyman Jack does have some fragrance in it, which that is a real killer when it comes to fragrance in general. That is one of those ingredients. And I'm sure we all know this, so I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't know, but they pack a lot of things under the name fragrance that can often be toxic. So he does use Everyman Jack. Again, it's better than what he was using before. And if we were to find a better product that worked just as well, that had fewer toxins in it, we would obviously switch to that. Now, when it comes to my face, girls. Okay, so I have moved to using Radiance Rebel products for face wash and face oil. I found her after foregoing Botox again a couple of years ago. I first fell into Catherine's orbit because she does face taping. And so I bought her face taping guide. And since then, she has developed her own product line. And I am incredibly happy with it. So there is a face oil that you use as like a face wash. There is a version for dry skin. There is a version for oily skin. I have now established that I have dry skin. And I have used this probably for 9 months now, and I absolutely love it. So I use the face oil, the dry version. She then also has a moisturizing oil that I use and a facial mist that I use as well. So those 3 products from Radiance Rebel. She also has a Manuka honey mask that is a really great exfoliant if you need to exfoliate and you still want to be very mindful of, again, the skin on your face is very sensitive in general. So I do love that Manuka honey mask. It's also really great to add back moisture to your face. So if either of those are problems that you deal with, I highly recommend that. As far as other products that I have used and do really like, one time Catherine was sold out of all of her products, but she recommended Wildling. I believe that is the name of it. That is a line that I have used though with their face wash, their moisturizing oil. It is very good. They also have a mist that I like as well. So my first choice would be Radiance Rebel. The second one would be Wildling. I do have a plumping serum from Primally Pure, and I like the product and the result that it gives. It does have essential oils, and I don't love the smell. It is a tallow-based product, hence the need for oils. And you do need oils because otherwise tallow smells exactly like what it is, which is beef fat. On the note of Primally Pure, though, I love, love, love their lip oil. I have very sensitive lips. I am somebody who often gets cold sores in times of sickness or stress. I also have a common tendency to sunburn my lips anytime that I am outside. I've always had to be very careful about the types of products that I use on my lips, and that lip oil is creme de la creme. I literally have it in my office, next to my bed, in my car, in my purse. Like, I typically buy them 5 at a time. They are not the cheapest. I think that they're like $16 or $18. So if there's ever any time that you can get them on sale or that you can do subscribe and save, I highly recommend that. Sunscreen. Okay, so I don't use a body sunscreen. I have some conspiracy theories on that, I guess you could say. I don't love the idea of putting chemical ingredients on my body to protect me from the sun and then heating them up in the sun. It just kind of sits with me the wrong way. So I do use a facial sunscreen. The one that I am currently using right now is Solera's Fortune Teller. It's a tinted moisturizing sunscreen. I do really like that. It is a little bit on the pricier side. I've also used the tinted sunscreen from Skinny Confidential, and I really like that. Lauren is very mindful about the ingredients that are in those products, and so I do like that. The only problem that I had with that is I had a difficult time if I were to put that on and then put makeup over top of it, that my makeup wouldn't slip off. So if you're somebody who does not wear makeup, then I highly recommend the Skinny Confidential. It's caffeinated sunscreen because as a tinted product, it is incredible. But if you're somebody who you're going to put a full face of makeup on top of that sunscreen, for me specifically, it just didn't really work. That's, again, though, not to say that it's going to not work for everybody. We all have different face oils and skin types and products that we use. I also saw that Farm Wife Tallow is coming out with a sun cream. It has zinc oxide in it. So I am absolutely going to buy one of those and try that out. And I also believe a little birdie told me that Primally Pure has a tinted version coming out later this summer as well for the face. So those are my recommendations there. And then makeup. I did share this also over on Instagram a couple of weeks ago now. I have been using Ilia. Gosh, I'm going to say back in December is the first time that I bought it. And I do love these products to the point where I have reordered them, not only in the colors that I initially bought, but in more colors. So in their blush, highlighter, bronzer, I have rebought them all in the original color that I bought, and then in additional colors as well. I also love their foundation stick. I am somebody who, again, I have very sensitive skin, very dry skin. And so I don't really like stuff that is cakey. I really do struggle with keeping makeup on my face. It seems like it slips off or it dries out or it gets cakey. So I love that foundation stick. It also gives really great coverage that still looks natural. It doesn't look overly done by any means. When it comes to a setting powder, I just recently switched to Say. I am a big fan so far. Kosas has a concealer that I like. It is considered clean as well. And all of these products are. I'll tell you the one product that I still use to this day that is not considered clean, and that is the Anastasia brow powder. I have literally used this since 2010, longer than I've been with Justin. I get the brow powder duo in the color taupe. I absolutely love it. I've tried other products since then, and none of them hold a candle to the brow powder duo. Here's the other thing that I also use when it comes to a gauge on this is if I've used it for that long and I've never had any kind of reaction to it, and the fact that it is a powder that is sitting in my eyebrows, right? I'm not going to put it in my eye or on my lips. Let's say I'm going to be increasingly mindful of those types of products, but for a powder that's sitting in my eyebrows to make them look a little bit more full, I feel okay using a product that I don't even know where it is on the EWG scale. And frankly, I'm not going to look because I do love it that much. What else? I feel like I've kind of ran through all of those. When it comes to face, one other thing that I do is, as mentioned, I haven't done Botox since September of 2024. Prior to that, the first time I'd ever done it was March of 2020, which was real ironic. I got it like 2 days before the world shut down. And I thought, wow, I just wasted my $400 because here I have this perfectly frozen face and nobody's going to see me. Like it really didn't do anything for me in that moment. So I bet that I probably got Botox maybe 10 times over that 4-year period. And it's not something that I'm really interested in getting anymore. That's not to say that I won't change my mind in the future. And I also, guys, I have no judgment. Like if you're somebody who you love Botox, like more freaking power to you, girlfriend. I love that. That being said, last fall, I got an upper blepharoplasty. So it's not like I am not somebody who is, oh, you shouldn't do anything to change your face. Like that is not me at all. But in my mind, that was a decision I felt okay about because it's not like I'm injecting any kind of foreign product into my skin. I am getting rid of the extra skin in my eyelids that over time are going to droop down and potentially cause vision issues. I also will get a BBL laser on my face. I typically do a series of 3 of those every year to combat dark spots and to help with rosacea, which is something that I do suffer from as well. And they're not necessarily the cheapest, but again, I'm not spending that money on Botox or on filler or any of those products. So I feel okay about that. And it is doing nothing other than changing those external elements on my skin, like dark spots and rosacea and things of that nature. That being said, I've done a lot of research and various lasers can also be damaging to your skin barrier. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you're using high quality products like those Manuka honey masks or Radiance Rebel products that are continually helping to build back that skin barrier. Okay, holy cow, this is 30 some minutes long now at this point. I thought this was going to be closer to 15 or 20. So I kind of feel like I failed you guys. So my apologies, but we are going to end it there for now. Let's come back with a brand new episode next week. And I am going to focus on household products, kid specifics, what we do for health issues. Do we still use Band-Aids? Yes, we do. I just try not to use Tylenol. If you guys want to continue to hear more of this, definitely let me know over on stories, or if there's any specific questions that you have, I would love to answer those. Again, just from the standpoint of what we have done, I think that there are people out there who are far better experts and know more than I do, but I want to share from my perspective of what has been easy, small, but yet monumental changes for our family. So we will see you guys back here next week with a brand new episode of the show. We're going to continue this talk on low toxic products. So we'll see you back then.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.